Hello, everyone. Now that we have touched the topic of autism, I wanted to talk about one thing that has helped me the most with my child. My oldest was one of the most aggressive children in her classroom from 5 years old to about 7 years. I remember the time when she would have a meltdown that lasted 4 full hours, full of crying, screaming, hitting, biting, pulling her hair or even mine, banging her head on the walls. You think about it and she would do it all. As a parent, as first, I would start off really cool and collected, and as she escalated, my voice escalated too. So after a few minutes, we both would be screaming and crying, and she'd be hitting me, and I'd be screaming more on top of my voice, and we created this chaos around us. I remember the times when I had bruising from her bites and her pinches all over my body. It was a total nightmare. I thought the only way to prevent it was to give what she wanted, and even that did not solve the problem. It was very, very stressful. Even more stressful to know that she wouldn't stop even after I gave her what she was wanting. I knew I had to do something about it because she was getting bigger and stronger, and it was so hard for me to control her. Even as a 5-year-old, some days it took 4 people to restrain her at her school, all adults, all exhausted from the fight. She was that strong when she went into a meltdown phase, even as a 5-year-old little tiny child. So, as a parent and a caregiver, I knew that this I couldn't deal with every day. I knew that I had to do something to change it. I knew that I have to do my research and figure out what is going to work for us. So, one thing I told myself is I'm going to understand why she is doing it. Why is she exhibiting this behavior? So, as any intelligent person, I started Googling. I came up with a literature. I came up not with, but a literature popped up that explained the difference between tantrum and meltdown. And it said that in a tantrum, a child can stop the behavior if desired items are given to them. But in case of a meltdown, the child is way past that phase and now cannot stop the behavior even if they want to. That sentence right there changed my perspective. It also said that as a caregiver, after we recognize that your child is in a meltdown phase, we have to keep the child safe until they are so physically tired that they cannot put up the fight. We have to understand that at a meltdown phase, no matter what we did or what we said or how we say it, the child is unable to stop the behavior. Keeping my cool at this time was the hardest for me, especially when my child was screaming and biting and hitting and kicking and crying, and I still felt like I couldn't do anything to help her. The one thing that helped me was saying that I know you're having a hard time and it will be better soon in my head over and over again. In my head, I would say that I know you don't mean to hurt me. I know you cannot control it. And sometimes I even had to repeat that over and over and over again so I could keep my calm. I had even started praying in my head just so that I wouldn't start screaming. And at the same time, I would just block her if she was about to fall or about to hit a hard surface or get hurt. I understood that all I have to do was keep her from bumping her head or breaking her bones or getting hurt. Anything else that I did was not going to help her. At first, it took all those 4 hours for her to be exhausted and finally fall asleep. But as I kept my calm and just responded with blocking her if she was going to fall or get hurt, I realized that I was so much more control. I had so much more control over the situation. And then I started noticing that she would reach out her hand and let me hold her hand. So I started giving her like light sensory input, massages in her hands. And then as she broke a little bit from her meltdown, I started telling her to take some deep breathings, like to do some deep breathing, take some deep breaths. And these were all the techniques that she was already learning in therapy. So I realized that after 2 years of doing it every single time she had a meltdown, I realized that she started understanding the cue, take a deep breath, and that could break her from getting into that meltdown. Now she doesn't even, knock on wood, but she doesn't even get to that meltdown stage. But even before, I remember I would say, take a deep breath, and she would just calm down just a little bit and start it all over again. But the intensity was less. So that's how my journey was. It was rough at first, but as she understood the cues, let me massage your hands or take a deep breath, it got so much better to get her calmed down just even for a split of second, so that when she started, she was not all the way up there crying and hitting and all that. So this is how, what I'm trying to say is, this was a huge stressor for me. And I knew that there had to be something positive that needs to come out of it. And I knew that the positive would only come out if I learned the behavior. And I learn how to change it for her, or how to help her change it. So this is how I change my stress to eustress. So, and this, I understand that it might not work for everyone, but I'm sure there's someone out there who's trying to understand what to do when their child is having a meltdown, or somebody who's wondering where to start. And I want to tell you that you are not alone. A lot of parents have been there, and some are still there. So this is what I want this community to be, is to come together and let us know what helped you in your situations, so that we can put a voice to it, or I can put a voice to it, and help as many caregivers as we can, and make this community like a helping hand to anybody who needs it. Thank you. Bye bye.